Preview time, footy and frothies. Daggy and Barney with you. Check out YouTube channel, Spotify, Facebook, Threads, Instagram. Leave us some feedback there. rugbyleaguemerch.com/footy and frothies. Buy a hat, shirt, all that sort of good stuff. We've got, I believe it's Indigenous round this week to look at. A couple of intriguing matchups ahead. Anything caught your eye in the meantime, Barn?
For this week coming, or just life in general?
Life in general. Life in general.
Yeah, no, not particularly. Dogs and Dragons. These two teams are really, absolutely aching for a win at the moment. So I think
that's a real head scratcher. That.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of energy thrown into this game because this is one that both teams are probably thinking that they should be winning. Going into this one.
Well, let's talk about it. It's 10-8 at a core. And for the Bulldogs, Jamin Seven returns to the back row. Josh Curran back to the bench. Was pretty good last week, actually. Perhaps unlucky. Lucian Leilua is back from injury for Ben Murdoch-Masila. And everything else looks a lot like it did before the bye.
And the Sharks and Panthers.
Oh, and Sharks, obviously. We'll get to that. But yeah, well, let's talk about
without saying
this one.
Yeah, real strange one for mine. I'm going to go with the Dragons coming fresh off the bye. I think points come a little bit easier for this Dragon side than they do for the Doggies. Hunt just seems to be a bit more natural at being able to create opportunities for points than what you get out of the halves from the Bulldogs. I think they're going to go with the big power game through the middle. If there is one weakness in this Dogs pack, it has been their pack. They have stood up for big parts of the year, but I think this Dragon side's now looking a lot larger in the forward pack than it has done in previous years with the likes of Saleh, Sua, DeBell, and Molo. You throw in, you said Luciano's back, Fatala Mariner. I think they can they do a job through the middle of the field and really wear out the middle of the Bulldogs and just have a few more points in them by the end of the game. So I'm going to go with Hunt man of the match. I'm going to go with Dragons 1-12, and I'm going to go with Jaden Sua to score the first try.
It's funny. My first thoughts are the same. I'm going to tip the Dragons here as well. I think it's a good tip in a tipping point of view because a lot of people just click the Bulldogs and won't give
70% or whatever it is that everyone's picking.
This is a nice one to pick up on 2/3 of the comp. But same thing. And you look at the size of that bench, Laurie, Fatala, Mariner, Leilua, as you said, you really start to bash down that middle if in doubt. I think they can get to 24, 28 points, and I'm not convinced Bulldogs can without some real special individual performances, which they can produce, obviously.
There needs a bit of offloading and change of directions and stuff, and get some ball to their fast men. They can provide some points, but
they just end up so often sort of betwixt and between doing either. They don't quite go full touch football, and they don't quite really take on the line. So it's
obviously the outside backs really worry me. If they can unlock Karaz and Josh Adokar and that, and Zeri, they could have a field day running past the likes of Bird and Moses Sully in the centres. But
agree. And Kick-Out coming off a quieter performance. Obviously his leg must be okay. But I thought Jack Bird had his best game in a long time last week, so hopefully he can stand up. We're at 2 weeks from Origin teams, so Ben Hunt, man of the match. He'll be ready to go. He'll be involved with all of it. And first try scorer, Ravalawa out there. But as I said, I think I'm thinking sort of 28, 16, something along those lines. Kick off Thursday night. One of the less box office Thursdays we've had in a while, actually. One of the less box office Fridays is the 6 o'clock Cowboys game, hosting the Tigers up at Townsville. As I said, Tigers on the very quick backup for the second time in about 3 weeks, actually. We've got an unchanged team for the Cowboys. Braden Burns sticks on the wing, so kudos to him. Tigers have been decimated again by their suspensions. Olam, Naden both out. Casey and Josh Falati comes into the team. We've got Justin Matamua into lock starting, so finally a ball-playing lock. Hopefully the wraps on him come to fruition, which we've seen. I've seen a fair bit of his reserve grade work and younger age stuff. So hopefully he can produce that. That pushes Twile to the bench with Seyfarth because Papali's back as well. I think this back six have less than like 80 first grade games between them. Or something like that. It's the most inexperienced NRL team we've seen in a long time. You throw Matamua and Fainu in as well.
Sullivan doesn't have a whole heap of games either.
And no, he doesn't really. Matamua, Pole, Simpkin in. It's some green prospects. So job cut out for them. It's a game that a few weeks ago I would have been optimistic on, but I'm not here. I think Cowboys have too much strike and perhaps can rack up a score by this. I think Cug's been trying really hard for the last couple of months, just not winning is the first problem. But
Yep.
I feel like the dam's going to break at some point. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully they can keep putting the efforts, just because it's only been discipline and execution letting them down. But I think the forwards will get through and match what they can. But you Drinkwaters and Dearden's with Origin looming another one scare me here. And the one that really scares me, because I just potted him, is Val Holmes. Finally getting to take on a rookie centre, looking for that Origin spot. I think I'm going to go for him man of the match, and I'm going to go for him first try scorer. I think 13 plus to the Cows.
Yeah, Dearden obviously trying to secure that 6 jersey as well.
Yeah.
I can see this being close for half hour or so, but the longer this game goes, I think the more impressive the Cowboys will look. The kicking game will be a big part of it. Townsend, he can kick long and kick to position in the corners. It's just something the Tigers have struggled a little bit with Sullivan and Galvin. And I just think the energy tanks will be really low at the back end of this game, and you'll see the likes of Talangi, Holmes, maybe Vailea have a bit of a day out towards the back end of the game, which will push it out to 13 plus for the Cowboys. I'm going to go with Dearden, man of the match, trying to skewer that 6 jersey. I think we know he's effort on effort, and I think there might be a couple of extra ones thrown in this week just to make sure he gets that 6 jersey. And Val Holmes, first try scorer.
We've got main event Friday, the Battle of Brookie again, Seagulls Storm. For Manly, Jason Saab's back. They've managed to tape him back up, get him out there early. Nathan Brown also back, which pushes Lodge out, who had a biceps injury. No Croker yet. Jerome Hughes named. They can use him. He's at 7. And Grant Anderson comes on to the bench after getting a fair bit of footy last week, actually. Trent Loureiro drops. Oh, he's at 14. Who else is in that team? Kamakamika's starting, who didn't start last week. Josh King now at lock. What do you make of this?
Obviously we know Manly have got pace to burn, and they like to get it out to the outside backs, but they're up against one of the better defensive setups in the comp. I think they start. There should be massive momentum going through Harry Grant coming off last week's game. I think they'll start with him being the general, getting the ball out to these outside backs and second rowers again, getting them one-on-one, which should provide enough opportunity for the likes of Remmer Smith, Farlago to chime in. And I think they might just ease Jerome Hughes back into the game a little bit. You might not see him for the first 20, but I dare say by the back end of this game, he'll just be laying on some tries, and you'll see some points coming through. I think Manly might be able to keep it close enough, just playing a bit of touch footy and scoring a few tries out wide. But I think it'd be a comfortable 1-12 win for the Storm. I'm going to go with Hughes, man of the match. I think you'll probably just see 3 try assists at the back end of the game, and that'll be enough to get him your man of the match figures out of this. And I'm going to go with Coates first try, because if all else fails, kick it to Coates.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're going to see early shifts from Manly. We do every week. But I think that there's enough experience in this Melbourne team. They'll, if they have to, default to playing in the tram tracks like they did last week, and that's going to be good enough for this with Blore, Katoa, King, all on the field. I think they can outmuscle this Manly forward pack.
True. Yeah. The
And
more I think about it, it's probably 13 plus. But
I'll go 1 to 12 just to get Hughes through 80 minutes and all that sort of thing as well. Stick with the hot hand, Harry Grant, man of the match, heading into Origin on the back of last week. And we'll go Failongo first try, just because I want to see him light the field up. We haven't really
absolutely.
seen it yet, but I'd love to see him have a real stamp game here and own this. As I said, if it's going to be Manly win, it's going to be a lot of early spreads, trying to isolate your meanies and Warbricks who have had some defensive issues and could well do again. But that's been better these last couple of weeks.
100%.
Saturday kicks off Raiders, Roosters. Interesting bounce back game for the Roosters here with now having to head to Canberra and play a different style of footy. Peter Holler comes onto the bench for the Raiders to replace Papai, who copped the suspension. And no issues with Rapana and Tarpanay. They just got fined for their behaviour last week. Joey Manu's back in for Ponga. And Kiri's okay after he got HIA'd last week. Nat Butcher appears just to be in the reserves. So, yeah, to answer your question, which means the bench is Smith, Sandon Smith, Egan, Lenu, May, and Cheese is starting with no Crichton. Nafahu White starting at 13, actually. So, interesting shuffle there. What are you thinking?
No Connor Watson. That says to me that there's not a lot of faith around Brandon Smith, to be honest, if you're going to push Nat Butcher out of this side and put Sandon Smith in his place. I think it'll be tough. Going down to Canberra is always going to be tough. They're going to bring the physicality early. I think the Roosters might default to the grind in this one. I think they might just really go physical for 40 to 50 minutes, and which means it might be tight leading into the hour mark. But the last 20 minutes of this game, I think just all hell breaks loose, and Manu starts doing what Manu does, and you see the ball getting out to Dom Young and Manu, and there's quite a few tries that get provided out there. I'm going to go with Walker, man of the match. I think you'll see some of those rainbow balls out to the outside backs, some of that nice short kicking in behind the line, and he'll provide quite a few try assists and look really good in this game. I'm going to go Roosters 13 plus, but I think the Raiders will start hot. I'm going to go with Savage first try scorer, and they may even be in the lead half an hour into this game, but I've just got a feeling the Roosters are going to really double down on the physicality after a loss last week, and they'll really grind Canberra into the ground by the end of this game.
There's a little part of me that senses an upset here. I can't quite put my finger on why, apart from it's just going to be one of those weird games that happen in Canberra where it's like 18-all with 5 minutes left and no one knows why. But the back row for Canberra has been in fantastic form. I am going to stick with the Chooks. I think Manu's a big in. I'm going to have him man of the match. He's the biggest X factor in the field, and they did miss him last week. I know he has his quiet games here and there this season, but I think he'll be fresh and ready to go. And we'll go with him for the double then. First try and man of the match, actually. And in the end, yeah, Manu Swali, Dom Young, just much more X factor on show than is available to the back six from the Canberra side. Yet again, highlight of the week is the 5:30 game. They keep producing these semi-main events that are crackers, with the Sharks hosting the Panthers, top of the table versus the reigning premiers. And no changes to the Sharks. We've got Scott Sorensen back to the starting lineup after being on the bench last week. Liam Henry's back, and Luke Garner is out of the side after his hot month that he's had.
Yeah, it's pretty tough on Garner.
Yes.
Realistically, how good he's been going. Probably says they want to really aim up in the middle of the field, I guess, with Eisenhuth, Henry, and Smith there to try and combat some of these bigger bodies in the middle for the Sharks.
I have been saying it. I had the circle around this game for a month now. I think Sharks did a job on Penrith, and I think they might put a proper job on Penrith here. I'm going to go Sharks 13 plus.
Job.
I think late points will start flowing because on the back of last week's game, there was so many times Penrith looked flat and vulnerable, And I just thought Sharks were at a different level in that Roosters game. Obviously, there's a come down to be had and potentially a come up to have from Penrith. But I think that, the last 4 years are finally just starting to show a bit of fatigue on some of these players. Not that they're going to play badly, but I just think Sharks are the white hot team now, and I'm going to go with them.
Yep.
First try scorer, we'll go with Mulatalo. It's been a minute, so since he has scored first, so we'll go back to that edge instead of what's usually been happening. And man of the match, it'll probably either be the 7 or the 13, let's be honest, if they're going to get away with this. But really, really interesting game, actually, because if Hazelton has a good game here, all of a sudden he's almost a front runner, it feels, for that bench prop spot for rep season. But
There's no other real big body middle that's doing as much work as him, unless you want. You've got Spencer Lenu and
yeah,
Terrell May, who've probably got a bit more X factor over the top of someone like Hazelton. But if you're just looking for half an hour of rock solid middle forward work, then yeah, you do worse than going to Hazelton.
yeah, well, I think that's it. Like, there's no Stefano started hot, but he's not. His last couple of weeks haven't been complete blow away. He wasn't bad on the weekend, and I don't think you can possibly pick a Saifidi. So
It would,
yeah.
no, wouldn't imagine so. Yeah, battle of the back five. Obviously, we've talked about it. Penrith set themselves up to go with plenty of meters coming out of these back five, and obviously Brian Toto and Edwards scare the shit out of any team that they play against. There's heaps of meters there. Possible line breaks and points in those two guys. Alamotti's a little bit rocks and diamonds at the moment. So some of his games are fantastic, and some of them aren't as good. Kyle Oro, his opposition's been rock solid. Yeah, this Cole and Luai don't really inspire me. Luai has been getting much better, and look, it's a bit of a shootout, isn't it? For
I would suggest it's a 6 shootout.
Luai is really going to want that to press his claims to be playing either alongside Nico Hines, or whether Moses does come back and grabs a spot there. I don't know, but yeah, I think you're going to see some tremendous forward pack work, especially early in this game. I don't think either team really blows each other out of the water. I think there'll just be there'll be those moments where somebody has a little bit better footwork, or there's a bad read in defence. And I'm going to go with the Sharks 1-12. I think they'll just hammer away with their back rowers. I think Nakora and Wilton will come to the fore in this game. Really good line runners with a bit of extra footwork. Like Martin and Sorensen are just as good, but there's probably not as much footwork between those two guys. They're more of a physical sort of impact, which I think the Sharks can absorb. So Sharks 1-12. I'm going to go Wilton first try scorer and Nico man of the match.
Bunnies host the Eels in a 7:30 game where Jack Whiten's moved to 5'8", Cody Walker to halfback, and Tiapa out of the side. Milne and Cheekham move into the centres, and Jacob Host is back with Havili going to the bench. Coach Trent Barrett has stuck with the same team. Ryan Madison comes into the side, which pushes Cartwright back to the bench. No other changes here in another head scratcher, Bon.
Yeah, absolutely. By all rights, Parramatta should have the physicality sorted and a dominant sort of forward pack role. But as you mentioned, a few of those guys aren't living up to expectations recently. I expect the Indigenous round to bring out the best of the likes of Cody Walker, Latrell Mitchell, Alex Johnson out on an edge. Cook's been in the best form he's been in for probably 9 months realistically, since the back end of Origin last year, and in his last 2 or 3 games, and I think he'll have a really big part to play here. I think he'll make his opposition look night and day compared to what they have on the field there in the number 9. I think the sacking of the coach probably is not a good thing realistically for Parramatta. I think they you might even see them take a good month to really get over this
Yeah.
at the moment. If there'd been a signing of, if they managed to get Bennett, you might have seen a bit of an uptick here, but that's gone South's way. Indigenous round, I can see Latrell and Walker having really big games in this one. I'm going to go Souths. Started with 1-12 just because of that forward pack battle, but I think if Souths can just hold the middle, even lose the middle, but not get steamrolled through the middle, there's going to be enough in these outside backs. I like Whiten at 6. I think they've been crying out for it. Because he realistically hasn't been that good out in the centres.
No, he's been average.
We all thought his defence was going to be awesome. He's been good with ball in hand, but his defence has been horrible out in the centres at the start of the year. I think it adds something here. You're going to have two players firing off the hip on both sides of the field, and the young fella Tuapa probably was very close to my pot plant this week last week as well. So I just think there's a whole heap more opportunity for the Souths team to create points. And yeah, I'm going to go Souths 13 plus. Man of the match, Cody Walker, and first try, Alex Johnson.
Yeah, I'm going to go Souths too. I think they've come here and probably, Hornby would have penciled this in as the game realistically they can get back on track on. And last week there was an uptick in effort, and now we're hitting the Indigenous round with the South side. It'll be the Cody Latrell show. For the sake of it, I'll go Cody, man of the match. I think he's pretty much got it the last few Indigenous rounds. So I think he'll be heavily involved here. Latrell, first try, taking 3 blokes with him. And we'll go 1-12 just because who knows. But I think it's if Souths don't win this, I don't know what's next for them. And I just can't see any upside for Para. No, I don't think anything's changed at Para in the last, apart from Blaze Talangi, who's very good. But,
Correct.
geez, it'll be a mighty effort to single-handedly keep dragging this team over the trial.
I think they'll be lucky to score 2 tries, Parramatta.
Yeah.
I think Souths have got 5-6 tries in them. So.
Yeah. No, that's all fair. 2:00 Sunday at Suncorp. The Broncos host the Titans. Reece Walsh is back. That's good. Billy Walters is back.
Just what the Titans want.
So Colber goes back to the centres, pushing Karapani. No, it doesn't. They're resting Stags. Karapani stays in the centres. Tyson Smoothie to the bench. We have got Payne Haas, so I haven't seen any injury updates. So all looks good there. And now Tom Weaver has officially been named at halfback for the Titans. Randall at 6, Verrills 7. No other changes. Aaron Shoop's gone to Manly. So Jojo Fafita into the centres and Tony Francis.
As of immediately?
Immediately, yeah.
Yeah, well.
And Josiah Pahalu will start in the front row. No sign of Jaden Campbell. So, Walsh is back. So cavalry starting to arrive here. Doesn't bode well for the Titans. I go Broncos 1-12. Carrigan Haas doing their thing against a forward back that keeps improving. It actually will be quite a good forward battle, I think. Mo, Fafita, Fermor have been good. So look forward to that. But I'm going to say first try to Dean Mariner. He's a good finisher. He did it again last week. Walsh man of the match off the quick backup just because I didn't get to see him do it last week.
Yeah, I think you might just see the Broncos ticking over. I really think the interchange there'll be a massive injection of aggression when you see Willison and Hetherington hit the field, and I don't think they'll be too far apart. And Aaron Clark, Isaac Liu, they're not bringing the kind of aggression and physicality that these two Broncos are going to bring. Carrigan and Haas will get through mountains of work. I can't see the Broncos not winning 13 plus, to be honest. Back end of this game, I think.
Yeah, I reckon it's the
outside back
10 minute
of the
jobs.
Titans will just fall apart.
3 tries in the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, Broncos 13 plus. I'm going to go Ezra Mam, another one who's fighting for that 6 jersey for the Queensland side. He'll be out to put his best foot forward, man of the match, and Dean Mariner, first try scorer for the Broncos. This could be a 30-0 job, 30-4 or something similar.
4:00, we've got the Warriors at Go Media Stadium. Weird time slot for them, but okay. Playing the Dolphins. And they get Rocco Berry back, Murata Niokore back, and Freddie Lussig's back.
What's that, 8 p.m. over there, or 7 p.m. over there?
6 or 7, yeah. No Wade Egan with HIA. And Paul Roach also jumps out of the side. Freddie Lussick is the starting hooker. Max Plass back. Kenny Bromwich to the bench. Kurt Donahue is the other change there. Who Max Plass is really starting to tempt me for Supercoach, actually. So is his mate.
Yeah,
Jan
absolutely.
Aitken.
Especially when you can slot him into 6 if you've got a problem there as your backup 6.
Oh, don't tempt me with a good time.
But...
Anyway, who wins this?
This is a really strange game for mine. I want to tip the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins will win, but I'm going to tip the Warriors. I think off the back of last week gives them an injection of enthusiasm. They have to play through the middle. They have to really control that middle and play as hard as they possibly can and knock the Dolphins apart in the middle, because they can't. I don't think they can match them in the outside backs. Like, you might get the Dallin try and a bounce of a ball somewhere out there, but I think if they go searching too much out in the outside backs, that they're probably going to lose handily. So everything's telling me to tip the Dolphins, but I'm going to tip the Warriors 1-12. I'm going to go Fanua Blake, man of the match. I think he might just knock the front door down and score a couple of tries. I'm going to go Jackson Ford, first try scorer.
Yeah.
Just off the way that Chance and Marie Martin last week played a lot more direct and a lot closer to the middle of the field, I think that bodes well for the Warriors to put on a forward clinic in this game. So.
No idea. I'm going to tip the Dolphins. Just because they have nice legs. You're right. It's such an interesting matchup. I think there's so much strike in the Dolphins' back line.
Absolutely. That scares the shit out
off
of
the
me.
points there. Herbie could tear him apart. Avarillo could tear him apart. Hammer.
Hammer
was only just warming up. So I'm going to say there's just more points in him. And go with that. But I absolutely understand why you would go the other way. I am going to go with... We'll go with Herbie. Third up now from his injury and has looked great every outing. So go with him, man of the match and a couple of tries. But the first will be to the Hammer. Bit of broken field and off he goes again.
Beautiful.
1-12 Dolphins in a round where I don't think anyone should be playing their Joker rounds this week.
It wouldn't be a suggestion, no.
We'll be watching and learning. Speaking of which, just quickly, PCTC Tipping Comp, you can check that out. Polar Bears on top, Pop Rod second, and Bletch is third, all 60-plus points there. Baz the Brave fourth, Miss Jane fifth. If we head... Where are we here? I'm down
me and Greggles are all on 55 points.
Well, there we go.
Separated by margins. So we're all in around the mid.
Seems. Yeah, there we go.
All around mid-table.
Yeah, so all somewhere in there. But tricky business this year. What's got you frothing?
We've moved up a fair bit because we were a fair way down at the start of the year.
Usually I leave my run to
come out in
3 weeks left,
bit,
so
which has been good.
Hopefully we continue.
Obviously frothing for the Sharks and Panthers game. Another chance for the Sharks to obviously prove their worth going forward. It won't matter a pinch of shit if they get knocked out in straight rounds in the finals, but it's all looking okay at the moment. I want to see Harry Grant back up on what he did last week. I think that we could see a good stretch of maybe 4 to 6 weeks now of Harry Grant dominating, unfortunately, Origin as well, which we'll get to in the coming weeks. But that's a bit scary, and the Roosters bounce back as well. They're the 3 games that I'm really targeting this weekend, which is what is it? It's all Saturday. So
there you go.
I know 1 Friday, 2 Saturday games. So
there's a sick fascination in me that is looking forward to this Canberra game, and I don't know why, but that and the Dolphins, I think both are very intriguing to see where they go.
That would be a massive upset if that comes to pass.
Absolutely. So I just think that's such an interesting game, and obviously that 5:30 game's a cracker. So looking forward to all of that. We'll get some tips up or some bets out tomorrow when I have a look at that properly. But I'm feeling Hammer. I'm feeling Walsh. I'm feeling some fullbacks this week. So we'll see how we go.
Oh, just on the bets. Last week I got up last week. I had the Sharks and the Raiders in a multi
Yeah.
at $10.90. Had $20 on that, so made $210 for the weekend. So I'm back in front again. I'm back into the positives of about 170
Very good.
thereabouts. But I'll get the figures 100% correct by the next time we speak. But one of us is making some money anyway. So.
Yeah, I've got another betting story. Anyway, I'll save that for
I've
later.
managed to hit 4 bets out of about fucking 30 something, but I'm in the positive. So
Congratulations. It's cold out here, otherwise I'd
yay
play the
me,
claps.
yay me.
Well done, David. You're my hero. All right. Let's be back and do this again next week to talk footy. Might even go to the pub next week. See how I feel.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Be good, and we'll talk again soon. See you guys.
You know.